I'm Jenny, and I talk about random things that pop into my head. And I do want to thank you if you've been here before for coming back, and if you're new, well, welcome. You do not have to agree with everything that I say, but I do ask that if you make a comment, please keep it civil. So, this was a crazy weekend. What in the world is going on? Like, literally, what in the world is going on? Adjust that a little bit. So I find some interesting things are happening, and particularly with the fighting that's going on between Israel and Iran. And I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know, but as of the time that I'm recording this, so things are changing so quickly. Could be different by the time you see it, but as far as the United States is concerned, this is what I have seen and heard, and you all have probably seen and heard it too. Originally, Trump gave Iran 60 days to come to the negotiation table, and they didn't do it. And then Israel and Iran started fighting, and he said, well, maybe they got to fight it out. Then he went to Canada for the, G2, I don't know, G something meeting, and he had to leave early. He didn't exactly say why, which that's okay. He just said he had to get home, and the people there understood. Sorry, I have kitty fuzz in my nose. The people there understood why, but they're world leaders, assumingly our allies. But he didn't put it out there for the general population to hear. But then he goes home and he says, if you live in Tehran, which is in Iran, you might want to think about evacuating, and I'm kind of softening that. He actually said, get out. He was talking to the civilians, I believe, maybe the American citizens that might be there for various reasons, basically saying, get out of Tehran. And he said, something big is going to happen. And now the story is that we're sending military craft over to the Middle East and the Mediterranean, I believe it is. And I know Israel's been asking us to help, and we've been helping, I believe so. But also, what I heard Netanyahu say is that, the United States has to look out for our interests. That we have to look out for our interest. And what they say, Khomeini, he calls Israel the little Satan and the United States the big Satan. And people who are making commentary on the strategy is if they get rid of the little Satan, it's easier to get the big Satan. So is it to our benefit to step in and help? I'm asking hypothetically. I have my opinions, but is it beneficial to the United States to go in there and help bring down the regime? But then, and it's not the people, by the way. Everybody that I've been listening to, it's not the Iranian people. It is the government. They're the people who are controlling the government in Iran. But the Iranian people are being oppressed, which I'm going to tell you, I believe to be the truth. Because if you don't know, I married into a family that half of that family's Iranian, and thankfully there's nobody there anymore. They had to get out, and not a good place to live, really isn't. And of course, so I know a lot of Iranian people, and I know people who's has family members that were executed by the government for things that they've believed in and what they stood for. So no, Iran is not a good place to be. And especially for women, it's just not a good place. It used to be, but it's not now. So it's not against the people of Iran, it's against the regime. And some of the commentators are saying, the way I took it was, if we get rid of Khomeini, it could be, somebody worse could come in, which is a possibility, because there are people there that support their government, right? And that was another thing. First, Trump was saying to Israel, no, don't go after Khomeini, leave him alone. But it sounds like he might have changed his tune a little bit on that as well. So, when we're here and we're listening to the news and reading articles and all this kind of stuff, first of all, we're in a really, I want to say, difficult position, because you never know what's true. You never know what's true. And there's always the bias of the person presenting the news. And then we have our internal biases as well. Because there's people that, no matter what Trump does, it's the right thing, even if he does the wrong thing. And then there's people who are, no matter what Trump does, he's doing the wrong thing, even if he's doing the right thing. So we've got that going on here in our country. And then there's people, I hope that most people are in the middle, that yes, this was good and this was bad. And that's what I hope. And honestly, with this thing, I have my own personal feelings, and I think it's all going to play out the way God wants it to. That's the way I see it. And I know that there's people who are starting to talk about that too. That this is something significantly historical versus what has been going on there with all these little tiny wars. I'll just say it that way. I talk like somebody who is just a regular person. I'm not a military expert or a biblical expert, but this is different. And they've been talking about World War III being a possibility. I've been hearing that for a few months now. And I wonder, is this the beginning of it? And I don't want it. I don't want a war. Nobody wants I hope nobody wants a war. President Trump has been saying all along, regardless of who he's talking to, but he's talking about not just the Middle East, but also, what was going on with Russia and the Ukraine. And he keeps saying, I want people to stop dying. He wants to stop the killing. And so we may be in a very interesting time. I'm going to put it that way. I just throwing out there what I've seen, what I've heard. Not a lot of my opinion, because I personally, like I said, I think that this is possibly biblical. But we have to watch and wait and let it unfold to see what really happens. So that's how I feel about it. Right now I'm being cautious in making any hardline declarations about what's going on. But it's very interesting, the things that have been unfolding in the last few years. And I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But I don't think, Trump has never waited on anything. So we're going to know pretty soon whatever his intentions are. And it'll be interesting to see. But he's been moving straight ahead very quickly at a rapid pace. Whatever his goals have been, he's knocking them out. And you got to admit that's true, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not. He hasn't wasted any time as far as getting things done or trying to get things done. He may have had some roadblocks here and there, but I will throw this out as an opinion, knowing what I know about how Iran feels about this country. And I'll give you two examples. And Netanyahu is doing the same thing. he's acting proactively because he knows that his country is at risk. And I suspect that President Trump is doing the same thing. We have the means to assist, to end a potentially dangerous foe. And, you know, we knew about bin Laden and what his intentions were. He had bombed the Trade Center before airplanes were being flown into it. There was a bombing in the basement of the World Trade Center, and it was linked to bin Laden. And we knew about Pearl Harbor, even though, you know, back then we didn't have the technology that we have now. But there was reason to believe that our military was vulnerable in Pearl Harbor, and we didn't do anything about it, and we ended up, that's what drew us into World War II when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. So my non-professional opinion is that if we are going over there with the intentions of taking out their nuclear weapons, I think that's a lot smarter than sitting back and waiting for them to, you know, draw first blood, or however you want to say it, throw the first punch. I think that that's foolish, and we've had conflicts with this country before. Not the people, but the government. They hate us. And like I said, there's no reason for us to sit back and wait and see what happens when there's certain things that you know, okay? You know that if you poke a bear, you're going to get swatted. You know that if a dog growls at you, you might get bit. You know that if you step on a snake, they might bite you. So what are you going to do? You're going to just sit there and wait and let them do what they naturally do, what they have historically have said, this is how we behave, and let them come after us? Or do we look for the signs that they're getting ready to do something terrible and take action to prevent it? I mean, that's how I see it. Maybe you see it differently. And just for those who have said that Iran has a right to defend themselves, actually, yes, I agree with that. They do have a right to defend themselves. What they don't have a right to do is to go about and be terroristic in their attacks on countries that they don't agree with. And quite frankly, I think that the things that they're doing to their citizens, humanitarian-wise, they don't have a right to do that either. That's my opinion. Anyway, I know this is a heated topic, and it's probably going to become more heated as we go through this. Just please, again, a reminder, regardless of how you feel about things, keep it civil. Don't attack me, because I'll just block you. But don't attack my other people who view, regardless of how they feel about it, okay? And I hope everybody has a great day. Bye-bye.